Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
Coming into 2009, it looked like Calvin Johnson could do no wrong, as he had arguably the number one scoring season for any fantasy receiver in 2008, and that was with a team that didn't win a game, quarterbacks that were in constant flux, and really they were not household names. I mean, Dante Culpepper was a name, but he didn't come into the team until I think halfway through the season, and even then, he's not the Dante Culpepper of old. A lot of names there, but he had a great season. He was consistent. So coming into last season, he was definitely one of the top receivers to go out and get for fantasy. He had a horrible season for himself last year, and the main reason was because of injuries. But the key thing with Calvin that you have to keep in mind is that 2 of the 3 seasons that he's played in the NFL, when he does sustain an injury, at least a halfway noticeable injury, that injury tends to linger with him throughout the season. In his rookie season, in the 3rd game, he played against the Eagles. He made a really terrific catch against the Eagles up in the air, making this great leap, but he fell very hard on his back, and that back injury tended to linger with him throughout the rest of the season. That was a problem. Now we come into his 3rd season. He gets a knee injury, and that knee injury, he came back here and there, but even watching him, he'd have to go back to the sidelines. He looked slow getting up. That knee was a problem all year. It lingered. This is not something that you like to see with any player, especially, with receivers when they get injuries like that. Remember with Calvin, for all his speed and his talent, he is a very tall, lengthy player. Hey, guys, they get back injury or knee injury and it lingers like that, it's going to hurt their fantasy production, and it really left fantasy owners hanging last year. But the real problem that I'm having with him, it's the same thing I'm having with Greg Jennings right now. I'm seeing a lot of boards where people are ranking him. Really, Calvin, they're ranking him still in the top 5 receivers. I'm seeing a lot of different places. It's almost like they're saying it's a given that he's going to bounce back this season and expect a good year. Greg, I think that my problem with him is that they're in a very spread offense, and he may not just bounce back and have a bunch of touchdowns because of certain factors. With Calvin, hey, he's got a good young quarterback. He does have, a ton of ability. These injuries, this is definitely something fantasy owners need to keep in mind when they're drafting this guy. And that is something I want to make a point of, because I'm not seeing that point made enough out there on the internet right now, is that, you need to keep in mind those injury problems, because they do tend to linger with him. He is a great talent. I can't say more about him in his talent and his ability and what he did display in his 2nd season. When you get him, this guy has the potential to be a really fabulous stud, yet at the same time, if he does sustain an injury, it's something, then, boy, we're just going to have to see how that shakes out.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy